Don't miss the RMMC coming in mid-April, presented by NARMS International, the largest event for retail merchandising and marketing across North America. For more, go to narms.com.
This is the Deep Think. We're here at Natural Products Expo West on the last day of the show to talk about emerging retail trends. Joining me are Bill Crawford, Director of Retail Publishing for New Hope 360, and Bob Vosburgh, Group Editor for Supermarket News. Thanks for being here, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So first we want to talk about the breaking news that happened here at the show about the Sunflower and Sprouts merger. Bill, how is this affecting the retail landscape?
Well, I think in the short term we won't see a lot of changes in the retail landscape. Both Sprouts and Sunflower are incredibly well-run retailers, and those competing with them in the marketplace will still compete with incredibly well-run retailers. Over time, as these Sunflower stores are merged into having the Sprouts banner and run under the Sprouts management, there'll be some changes there, but they'll still be formidable competitors. The big change I think we'll see in the short term, and a lot of it may be behind the scenes, is the change in the supplier realm, where suppliers who serve one chain but not the other are looking at this now an opportunity to serve this bigger entity. So I think there'll be some work on their ends, putting best deals on the table and looking for opportunities to grow their business and serve this new, larger retailer.
I think geographically as well, what we're going to see is some expansion eastward. They're only as far east as Oklahoma. Everything is concentrated on the west. So this is going to open up a whole new market for them going forward, and it's going to be a new player in an already crowded marketplace east of the Mississippi.
Coming together, maybe we posed the question before that it would be the next Whole Foods.
You know, it's certainly got that potential. Right now with rough store count maybe half the size of Whole Foods after the merger, and with the growth they have with stores that are opening or planning to be open this year, but only maybe a fourth of the geography of the country. So the potential of being a much, much larger player as they move north, and to Bob's point, as they move east to the Mississippi, which one would assume they would be wanting to do that.
Yeah, and it's price with Sprouts and Sunflower. So I mean, they are differentiated from Whole Foods already, just on that one point.
Right.
However, they are two, I think, completely different animals. I think what the strength of the new Sprouts will be is that a lot of people still remain intimidated by Whole Foods, and I think they don't like the pricing there as hard as Whole Foods tries. So this will be an attractive option for them going forward.
And speaking of other mergers in the natural industry, we have Alisor and Pfizer. Alisor, the makers of Emergen-C, being purchased by a big pharma, Pfizer company. What does this do for retailers?
I think in this point in history, there was that merger, and obviously it was a General Mills purchasing food should taste good. Years ago, I think a lot of retailers got really nervous about that when the Kraft and Kellogg's and General Mills and others started to get into this space of what are these people going to do with the purity of the brands they've grown up with. But I think now they've realized that these people are buying these brands to keep them as they are, grow them as they are, and they're not diluting them or taking their ingredient standards down. So I don't think it really has the same anxiety that these kind of mergers had a decade ago.
Yeah. And one of the things is, it's just a matter of them buying their way into this industry. This remains the one active, profitable part. Domestically, there's been really very little growth for CPG. Everything's been foreign, overseas. But natural and organic still remains a real hot spot, and I think they're looking at that for domestic growth. And part of the appeal also, let's face it, is that there's still premiums built in here that aren't with conventional foods and some of even their larger established brands.
And that's great news for products that are showing here, that in terms of wanting to get into a retailer, price is still a huge factor in the economy. Groupons, things like that, consumers walking into retail stores and thinking that they have to get the best discount, but natural products are more expensive. So how are companies working with retailers in terms of price?
Well, at this point, discounting at retailers, excessive discounting at retail, aggressive discounting at retail, doesn't seem like it's that huge a factor. The companies are succeeding based on selection, differentiation, service, quality, things of that nature. But to your points about the economy, if the economy stays rough, if gas prices go up, if disposable income gets squished, it may make a pressure on discounting being more of a factor in natural products retailing.
Interesting. And there are a lot of new companies here, 575 new exhibiting companies. Is going to the retailer the best way to expand their business after they leave the show floor? Are there other options?
There are a lot of options out there, I think. There's places, there's virtual marketplaces, Abe's, for instance, or the Daily Grommet, which takes one or two items a day and promotes it. I think those are options for small companies. Of course, I think a lot of these new companies are surprised when they find out just what's involved in getting onto store shelves. I mean, I think they're in for a bit of a shock, these startups, when they realize that it's not just coming up with the product and making it. There's distribution, there's logistics, there's the P&Ls involved and the margins and such. And
so many things to consider.
It gets very complicated and overwhelming for some of these small companies with 3 or 4 people.
Yeah, our industry is not necessarily a large and complicated one when you've been in it, but when you're brand new, to Bob's point, and you don't know, how do I get into distribution? How do I get products from point A to point B? What kind of free fills or new product intros are distributors looking for, retailers looking for? So it is sometimes a maze to navigate.
And there's an interesting new program that Walmart is starting. Bob, can you tell us about this?
It's called Get on the Shelf, and they launched it. They've become talent scouts of sorts, and they're going directly to consumers through a website and various links through Twitter. And they're asking consumers and anybody to come up with new products and to submit them. Consumers are going to vote. They'll get the 3 or 4 finalists, and I think this spring they'll choose one, and from that they'll walk that company, that product, they'll help develop, then they'll deal with logistics, distribution, and they will go on Walmart shelves on site, on their website, and then be mentioned and featured in their circulars as well. So it's a huge, huge boost for.
We could potentially see some of these products here on the show floor in Walmart. Bill Crawford, Bob Vosburgh, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
That's it for today's Deep Think. Thanks to our sponsor, the National Association for Retail Marketing Services. You can check out all of our videos from Expo West 2012 at newhope360.com/video. Follow us on Twitter at newhope360 for the latest news as it happens. Thanks for watching.